by Mamie Burkett. When I was a little girl, there was an old apple tree in my front yard. I remember seeing a picture of my grandparents standing under its wide, apple-laden branches and newlyweds. In their first home, it wasn't a tall tree or even a pretty tree. It was gnarly with knots and bumps in it. And in the spring, when the winter began to let go of her icy grip on the earth, the crocus would break through the cold-packed ground and jungles would follow suit. And then the apple tree would begin its transformation. The hazy, fuzzy hint of green around the edges of the branches was so faint, I thought I imagined the awe of color. As the days progressed, the crocuses with their pink and purple dresses vied for attention with the yellow teacups of the jungles. The apple tree began dressing herself in bright leaves and cruciuelo-like lumps on fresh doughed-down branches. And then one morning, I would wake to find that old tree festooned with blossoms. I would stand underneath the white flowers with rosy veins and green-stemmed centers and breathe in the air of new grass and sweet crocus and promise. Under those blossoms, I was a princess with pearls braided in my hair, or a bride with a veil of white flowers trailing behind me as I glided down my grassy aisle. I could hear the Andrews sisters sing, "Don't sit under the apple tree with anyone else but me." Summer was around the corner, and so were the days of playing around the trunk and the branches where we pretended we were spies, Tarzan and Jane, or the Von Trapp children. There were 7 of us. My mouth watered in anticipation of the juicy, warm summer days, chomping into golden, delicious apples. Many spring days ended in tummy aches from gorging on sour green baby apples because we couldn't wait for them to ripen. As the apples grew from bitter little green balls to mellow yellow sweetness, I could already smell the delicious treats from my mother's kitchen. There is nothing better in the whole world than the taste of spicy, cinnamon-scented apple cobbler fresh from the oven in June, or apple butter with fresh bread and cider in October. On lazy summer days, I sat amongst her leaves and fruit imagining my future. I first fell in love with stories within the secret safety of her branches. My sister Margaret and I would spin tales of being Wonder Woman, or Judy Garland, or Amelia Earhart. Sometimes my mother would bring out lemonade and cookies and would sit at the tree's shade as she taught us the songs of her childhood. She would tell her own stories of green apple disasters and her mother teaching her how to bake pie. Within those branches, the little girl dreams of my grandmother. My mother and I were kept safe. The bounty she provided for our table bonded us to the rituals of food and family. That tree was the most beautiful thing in our yard. Years later, I mourned when my dad called to say they had to cut her down because of some tree disease. Somewhere, another little girl is waiting for her apple tree to bloom. I think I'll go plant one